Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Democrats from Texas continue to throw their little temper tantrum, but now the House has issued warrants for their arrests, and there's new information that could lead to them potentially being charged with bribery. So I was happily wrong about that, I guess. So I want to talk about that today. I also want to talk about the other agenda items that are on the docket for this special session that they are avoiding votes on. It's quite disturbing and could lead to a lot of problems in Texas if they don't come back or their seats aren't filled immediately. Greg Abbott is starting to remove some of them from their seats. He's filed with the Supreme Court of Texas, so I want to look at some of the items on that because they're pretty damning. And I also want to take a look at the redistricting maps, old versus the plan, to kind of get an idea of what exactly they're doing, in my opinion, because I'm not an expert on gerrymandering or redistricting plans, but I feel like I'm learning every day looking into all of this. So I want to look at that because I think it'll be a little bit interesting for all of us. So let's get into it.
Well, the redistricting fight is heating up as Texas Democrats plea for donations to extend their walkout. The groups fled to Illinois in this effort to block a vote to redraw the state's congressional districts. Brooke Taylor, she's still in Austin with much more. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Dana. The Texas House Speaker set a deadline for Friday for those Democrats to get back to Texas and to break quorum. But the Democrats that I spoke to are refusing to come back and say that they are not going to be here on Friday. Over 50 Texas Democrats are still absent after fleeing to blue states to block that redistricting vote. The new district map, backed by President Trump, aims to flip 5 seats and help Republicans hold the House in November. Redistricting usually happens every 10 years after the census. Now, while doing it earlier is rare, it is legal. Governor Greg Abbott has threatened to remove Democrats from office and fill their seats. The House Speaker has even issued civil arrest warrants, and President Trump has said the FBI may have to get involved. But still, Democrats are not backing down. We spoke to Representative James Tallarico, who fled to Chicago. Are you prepared to be arrested once you do enter Texas?
I am. And if law enforcement apprehends me, I of course will go peacefully and will follow their instructions. I knew that I would be facing consequences for doing this. But again, I think it's bigger than me.
And on top of the travel costs, they are also faced with a $500 fine a day. And House members make just $600 a month. Dana.
All right, Brooke Taylor, the saga continues. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the dude there said that he was willing to accept the consequences for his actions and willing to get arrested when he re-enters Texas. There's no point in doing what they're doing. There is a legal process to accomplish whatever they think they can accomplish with this redistricting, because if the House passes it, and they will pass it, and then it turns out that the primary reason for redistricting was racial, then what they have to do is they have to file a case and take it to the court. And if the court deems that this was the primary reason was racial, then they will deem the map unlawful and unconstitutional. That's literally the legal process to this. Them breaking quorum is not going to prevent a vote on this. It might prevent a vote on this session, but they can just include it in the next, and they can vote on it then after they replace these people's seats or whatever they decide to do. By them doing this, they're like kind of admitting that they know that this is legal and constitutional and they don't have a case in court. So they're going to make a big spectacle out of it and make people think that they really fought for democracy, when in fact, all that they're really doing is avoiding democracy. So let's take a look at this letter that was sent to the Supreme Court. Okay, so this is an original petition for a writ of quo warranto, removing Representative Gene Wu from membership in the House of Representatives. Okay, so I've got a couple of things here. What is at stake here? Nothing less than the future of Texas. If a small fraction of recalcitrant lawmakers choose to run out the clock today, they can do so for any and every regular or special session, potentially bankrupting the state in an attempt to get their way. That means every state budget could be held hostage until the whims of a small fraction of legislatures is satisfied. It doesn't have to be that way. I agree. It shouldn't. Fearing one of 18 items on the special session agenda, Democrat members of the Texas House claim an entitlement to abdicate their official duties by refusing to show up for work. Like, if any of us working a job were to refuse to show up to work, we would get fired, right? So let's take a look at these there's a couple more things on that we're going to look at, but I want to also look at these other items on their agenda. So there's 18 items. Flood warning systems after major flooding just occurred. So they're avoiding a vote on that. Flood emergency communications, relief funding for hill country floods. So they are avoiding votes on helping people. Relief funding for hill country floods. Aid to support recovery, including local match funding for jurisdictions eligible for FEMA public assistance. Natural disaster preparation and recovery. Eliminate the STAR test. Replace the STAR standardized test with new tools for assessing student progress and ensuring district accountability. Cutting property taxes. So Texans, sorry, but they're not going to vote on any of this stuff. You know, they're not going to vote on cutting your property taxes. If you're victims of the flooding, they're not going to vote on that. They don't care about that. Even though they have a completely legal process to go through regarding gerrymandering and race-based redistricting maps. Protect children from THC, so they're not going to do that. Regulate hemp-derived products. They're not going to do that either. Protecting unborn children. They don't care about unborn children. We know that. Ban taxpayer-funded lobbying. They're not going to protect it. Well, they probably love that. Protect human trafficking victims. They don't care about human trafficking victims. We already know that, but they're not going to come back and vote on that. Protect law enforcement personnel. They don't care about law enforcement, so they probably don't care about that. Neither do their voters. Restroom mandate. Yep, they don't care about that. Neither do their voters, so they won't care about that. But I'm sure some of their voters were probably affected by the floods, so I'm sure people will care about that, and also their property taxes. Title theft and deed fraud protections. I guess they don't care about that either. Water project initiatives to authorize political subdivisions to reduce impact fees for builders incorporating water conservation and efficiency measures. We know the Democrats don't care about cutting costs. Judicial Department administration legislation leading to the operation and administration of the Judicial Department of Texas. That's really important. They should care about that. They should actually care about all of these things, but clearly they only care about the redistricting and throwing their big old temper tantrum that's not going to do anything, literally not going to do anything. And it's kind of, it's giving, you don't have a case and you know that, so you're just going to throw a hissy fit. So let's take a look at a couple more things on here. I'm not going to read all this because that's just boring, but I have looked through all of it and watched the lawyer go through all of it. Okay, so here we go. Wu has openly solicited and accepted funds and other consideration for the violation of his legislative duties. Support Texas House Democrats as we deny quorum, he pleads in one post. So he's posting this on the internet. In another, Wu posted an image of himself boarding a private charter plane, followed immediately by a request for donations. So he's asking money in return for him breaking quorum. So that's the part that I was luckily wrong about. I don't know what the courts are going to decide, but this is the information that we have so far. That plane, it turns out, was a 76-seat private jet taking Wu and other Democrats from Austin to Chicago on a flight that likely cost tens of thousands of dollars. I saw that it cost $100,000. A recent report indicates that the initial amount to get Wu off the ground was provided by Beto O'Rourke's Political Action Committee. In addition to offering the initial dollars, O'Rourke's PAC also offered extensive public relations resources and a dedication of all donations received by the PAC to Wu and other Democrats, but only if they break decor or if they break quorum. So this would constitute as bribery according to this letter, which was drawn up by many different lawyers. So apparently this is these people could be charged with felonies. Like, they have evidence that he actually was promised this money in exchange for breaking quorum. Interesting. Finally, soliciting and accepting funds as consideration for the ongoing violation, which you heard about there. They're still asking for more donations of legislative duties. Ongoing violation of legislative duties constitutes bribery under both the Texas Constitution and the Texas Penal Code. So they, at least he could be looking at bribery charges, but he cannot dispute the numerous public statements described above showing the bargain he struck in exchange for his willful refusal to appear. Willful refusal to serve as a representative is abandonment of the office of representative. And then it goes on to explain why. Most people who reportedly fail to show up for work get fired. Public servants must be held to the same standard. I agree. The oath of office provisions, for example, obligate state officers to sign a statement swearing that they have not and will not exchange things of value for the giving or withholding of a vote. Money is something of value. Wu's actions broke through that line at full speed and never looked back. As recounted above, Wu met with outside groups weeks in advance while planning the quorum break to procure funding to enable Democrats to flee the state. He demonstrably accepted things of value, including an expensive trip on a private jet to facilitate the withholding of his vote from the House by effectuating his out-of-state absence. Continuously solicited money for both himself and others in connection with the group's coordinated official action. On their face, those actions violate the prohibitions of Article 16, Section 41, but they also could constitute crimes. Any member who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept any benefit as consideration for a violation of a duty imposed by law on a public servant or party official is guilty of a second-degree felony. A felony! And then there's just some more legal jargon. Removal from the state for an indefinite period of time likewise amounts to abandonment of state office, and he's pledging to stay out of the state until this special session is over. Oh, Lord. And then it says here that they're requesting the court rule by Thursday, August 7th at 5 p.m., which is like not too long ago. They have not ruled on this. They requested that Gene Wu respond to the allegations by 5 p.m. on Friday. So we'll follow up on that. Okay, listen, I'm not a professional at redistricting, but I think I can look at maps and kind of see, get a good picture for what they're trying to do here. So on the left, you have Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas redistricting, current and proposed. And then on the right, as of right now, I have a map of the area based on the percent non-Hispanic Black people. That's what we're going to look at first. And this is the area this is one of the areas that people are throwing a hissy fit about, especially Jasmine Crockett, because her district is District 30 right here in the middle here, right here. And surprisingly enough, they actually added more Black people to her district, which she actually said on TV like yesterday or something. But she's still claiming that this is all racially motivated and that they're trying to take away the seats from the Democrats because of this and that and whatever. But that's not necessarily what I'm seeing. I mean, I could see a little bit of it going on, but I don't know. I think it could be argued against in court. I think if they bring a case in court, it could be argued that this was not, the primary reason was not racial. It was based off of the 2024 presidential election. So I just want to look at a couple things here. Look at Jasmine Crockett's district number 30 right here in blue. And then it barely even changed. They took this little dip out of here and then they extended it over a little bit. So this over here on the right, this is the district right here. So they cut out these non-Black people, it looks like, and then they added a little bit more of a area that is also more populated with black people, not as much as in the middle, but they added that area. They didn't cut out any, so they left it kind of the same. The only thing is that Jasmine Crockett is pissed off because she doesn't live there. So she would have to move in order to, I think she would have to move and then run for election again. I'll have to look into that. I'm not really sure if she can move now and then not lose her seat in the first place, or if they were to implement this like tomorrow, if she would literally just be kicked out of her seat, whether she moved or not. I'm not really sure, but I also don't care as long as she doesn't get voted in again, because I can't stand her. I don't want to listen to her anymore. But that's hers. And then over here, District 12. This is one that changed significantly. So, I mean, kind of significantly, not really. So they moved District 12, and that starts right over here on the right. Hopefully you guys can follow along with me. So it goes over to like right there. It used to go over to like right here. And then it went down and it swept down a little bit. And then it went back up and avoided all the black people. And then it went down and avoided all the black people. And there's another interesting thing that you can see here as well when we're looking at this. This is percent Hispanic. See all these Hispanics right here in district that were not in District 12 before? So you have District 12. It used to be this. So I'll redraw it again because now we're looking at Hispanics. You go down. It got some of the Hispanics. It went up and avoided the black people, it looks like, if we're going to make this about race. And then it went down and captured some more white people. Well, now it includes all of the Hispanics right here. All this big chunk of Hispanics all the way down to here and trickles down. Whoosh, whoosh, trickles down. So they actually captured this Hispanic group right here. I wonder if this area is part of the largely Hispanic areas that voted 55% for Republicans, which makes sense if you're gonna base this off of the 2024 election and Hispanics voted 55% for Trump, then you need to bring more Hispanic people into these more Republican-led areas, and that kind of gives them a higher voting power than they had before, because before you were just shutting them in altogether. So that changed. And then the other woman, I think her name's Jolie, I forget her name exactly, is in District 32. So District 32 used to just be this. Let's go back to black people. Here we go. So District 32 used to be, and I don't know, look at this. This little chunk right here is gone now out of this districting map. So we're going to ignore this little guy. So District 32 used to be like right, let's see, you go down here. Look at all those black people right there. We definitely want those, because otherwise we're not going to be able to win any seats, even though, yeah, because I think only 20% of the black people voted Republican in the election, by the way. But District 32 was like right here. Let's capture all these black people. Here we go. Let's get as many as possible. Come on. We need as many as possible. Let's get them. There we go right there. And it used to be just that little line right there. Well, now it includes this whole area. And this is probably like, I don't know, more rural area. Now it includes this area, and then it comes over, a little bit of gerrymandering there, but it still captures that pocket of black people right there. So it kind of still includes that. But I think that she doesn't live in that district anymore either. So you're going to have to move, girl. You're going to have to move, I guess, or just like not run for office. And I mean, you're one of the people that fled the state, even though there's an actual legal process to all of this. So maybe you shouldn't be in office in the first place. And then another one that changed just ever so slightly is this up here. It just changed a little shape, and it's all white people anyway, so who cares? Like, this is all Republican run area. So is this one. This is another one that changed. District 4. It used to be like it was just like trying to avoid certain people. Now it's just a big block right there, which it looks like makes more sense to me. All of this is white people anyway, so like who, you know, not that all, obviously half of white people voted Democrat, but I think most of the white people in Texas vote Republican. So, yeah, maybe I'm making this about race now. Who knows? But I mean, we can't really avoid that. So, and then district, they broke some of these other districts up to make other districts, like District 25 right here, and a couple more. Like, but whenever they're talking about gerrymandering, I'm sure a lot of you probably already know this, but I just learned about this. Gerrymandering was actually named that because I think it was a governor in Massachusetts made a map, a redistricting map, and one of the districts was like this. It went up like that, and they thought it looked like a salamander, and his name was Gary, so they renamed it gerrymandering. So that kind of is a good nifty tool to use in your brain to be able to identify where gerrymandering is happening. Like right here, you got these little lines right here, all of that. You got this little tiny line right there. Now it's still gerrymandered because it's going up here and it's going around and all over here. So is this. It's just going over here like that. So, but it's by far not the most gerrymandered state that exists. Louisiana, I looked at that the other day. It's just got a Democrat district going all the way through, avoiding all of the Republican areas and going from one side of the state all the way to the other. The same thing with Illinois. You got the squiggly line that goes through and ensures that they have almost all Democrat seats. The Democrats are famous for this. Now, Republicans do it too, but this does not look like a highly gerrymandered redistricting map to me. Let me know what you think about it, but to me, it doesn't really look like it's highly gerrymandered or significantly manipulated to favor white people or to take away voting power from black people or Hispanic people. I really think that in District 12, that actually gives a little bit more voting power to the Hispanic people, because Hispanic people have told us now that in Texas, they are majority Republican. So there you go. Like I said, I'm not a professional on that. So I'm just a beginner looking at redistricting maps, but let me know any critiques that you have in the comments below. Maybe you're a little more seasoned with looking at these things. I'm open to feedback. Let me know what you guys think about these districting maps. Let me know what you think of whether or not these people are going to be arrested for bribery. Do you think they're going to give up and come home? And why do you think that they're doing this when there's an actual legal process to this and this literally is not going to prevent a vote? Make sure to leave a comment, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any content. I'll see you on the next one.